First, they came with a and they have a gun in their hand. So our brothers who are Muslim, they came with a Quran in their hand and a gun in their hand. So whether you accept it or there are consequences. I think 85, the North Sudanese government collaborated with French. French, think about it. Think about French. They're far away from their homeland, but they come to my homeland. Even did a petrol exploration in my village, my house. Our purpose was to be trained as a Red Army.
You marched for 33 days.
But when I went to Ethiopia, there was no milk. And every Dinka child drink milk. I lost my mind as a human being, as a child. I used to go and eat another human being poo, or call it shit. I want to go and see my mother. There's no mother there.
UN also helped you get out of Sudan, didn't they?
But what cost? They should have stopped Arab from committing crimes. You die only when you lose your hope.
Get ready to be inspired by the incredible journey of a remarkable man. Today, we welcome Mr. Deng Adut, an example of strength and hope. Born in South Sudan, Deng's childhood was turned upside down when he was taken away from his mother and forced to become a child soldier. Picture a 6-year-old kid carrying a gun, facing horrors no child should ever see. But against all odds, Deng not only survived, but also became a powerful voice for justice. After escaping to Kenya and finding a new home in Australia, he turned his pain into purpose, becoming a respected lawyer dedicated to helping the community and also winning the Australian of the Year award. Deng's story is not just about survival. It shows us the strength of the human spirit and the importance of compassion. Today, he will share his journey of triumph over tragedy, a story that encourages us all to reflect on our own humanity. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Deng Adut. Namaste Deng, welcome to Happy Alien Life.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let's begin from the beginning of your journey. Where were you born?
I was born in Sudan, and the land is now divided. There's a North Sudan and the South Sudan. And so where I was born in particular is a place called Malek, M-A-L-E-K. That's where I was born. And it is in the South Sudan. It is next to the capital city of Jonglei, which is my state, or the state that I was born in. I was born to a father. His name, I have to say it clearly so that people who don't know how to trace their generation can actually look at me and say, why is he actually doing that? I'm doing obviously because those who doesn't know themselves would do a wrong thing to the world. So my name is Deng Thiek Adut Grang Ayak Padiu Goliath Thor Achok Chong Nyuro. And I can go on forever and ever. Then my mother came from a tribe called Adol, A-D-O-L. And to be specific about that, again, for those who look at African or look at Sudanese as people that don't value women, in fact, my tribe, the tribe of my mother, is the only tribe in the world that is named after a woman. So Adul is the name of a woman, and she had her own tribes. Now, I don't know anywhere in the world where there's any woman who's actually had a name of such a tribe. So that's my tribe name. And I came from a woman called Athiu, A-T-H-I-E-U, Akau Deng. That's where I came from. So I directly came from my mother side.
So you come from a tribe called the Dinka tribe,
I came from a
right?
Dinka tribes. Dinka is not a tribe; it's a nation itself. It's a nation. Basically, my book is Songs of a War Boy, as you can see. Dinka, as a nation or a tribe, let's just consider the Western world. We live our memory through songs, so people can actually trace a song, and songs are told every day to the younger one, so that they can understand the basic thing.
And that is why, the name of your book is The Songs of a War Boy.
Correct,
Right?
correct.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the significance of songs in your culture?
Absolutely. Songs are powerful. And nowadays, you see, the Western world has went to rock, hip hop, and all these insulting songs are meaningless because they don't leave any meaningful things. For Dinka, songs are meaningful. Especially, I could sing my father's song, which he died when I was relatively young. I was 3 years of age when my father passed away. But I know his songs. I know other songs that were sung about him. So yes, songs form part of our oral history, because those who doesn't have oral history don't know anything. They have to write something down in a paper. But if you have oral history, then it must be passed. And it's everyone's obligation, it's the elder's obligation to make sure that you are told about it. So yes, Dinka songs are not equivalent to the worldly songs. Our songs are sung before the time. So yes, I can sing songs for my father. I can sing.
So, when a child is born, or before the child is born, how is the song made? Can you tell us? And is it true? Is it the Dinka tribe where if a child
Yes.
does something wrong, then the whole tribe surrounds him and sings his song to remind him who he is, rather than punishing him? Is that true?
No. That's again. It's Dinka is so large, so big. It's a nation itself. So yes, there's a different Dinka tribe that do that, but for us, we don't do that. For example, I have my own songs that I remember when my mom used to sing to me, and I have to remember those songs in my head, and they're all ingrained into my soul. So nobody is going to come and take them away from me. It cannot be whitewash or blackwash art. So yes, I do have my own songs that were sung to me by my father, and I'll pass those songs to my children. And of course, my sister has the same song, and my brother has the same song.
It's a way of communication, right?
Yes.
It's a way of communication.
Absolutely.
right?
Beautiful communication. Even the animals in the forest, we hear those songs and they'll be happy. So yes, songs are beautiful.
And you grew up next to the river Nile,
Well,
right? So can you tell us about your childhood near the Nile?
all right. My childhood along the Nile, and I was born in Malek. My father was born in Malek, and that Malek itself is. You could Google my Malek and actually look exactly where I was born. I was born by the Nile. Nothing beautiful than that. Close. My house is actually, maybe it's not, it's about maybe 600 meters away from the Nile. That's where I was born. Yep.
Really?
And my father have a lake there, a lake that he owned, and nobody is going to take it away from him, nor the government, because that is birthright. So yes, I was born by the Nile in Malek, and Malek was the first place where the Christian missionaries came in 1903 and established their missionaries, and call them missionary, but one mission they were carrying out, it was basically what actually caused me to be in this position, what caused me to be in Australia. Without them being involved in 1903 in my homeland, I won't be in this problem. Those are the consequences for us to actually allow.
So what can you elaborate a little bit?
First, they came with a Bible and they have a gun in their hand. So our brothers who are Muslim, they came with a Quran in their hand and a gun in their hand. So whether you accept it or the consequences, that is a true violence of how we find ourselves in as the Sudanese in general. It's the foreigners coming with the violence. And that violence has actually created this situation where I have to talk about my songs of a war. It's not a war we create. My family my home was a peaceful place. Before I saw a skin that doesn't look like me. So I reckon, and everybody can agree, that the moment these infiltrators came to my home, that's when the death came. And death has never stopped ever since. Now nearly every day we die, and we don't even look at the cross or look at the crown as the source of all those deaths that we are facing. They are the source of our death. As a Sudanese in general, as a black man, I say that is the source, not God, because we know God. My name is actually the greatest name any human being could ever have. Mean God itself. Yeah. So people that are born with God.
There's a little story to your name,
Absolutely.
Right? Can you?
There's no greater name than that. They mean God itself, God of the rain. And there was nothing above that. So all this conversion to convert me, it's like I'm a currency. Like Deng become a currency and they convert me to something after that. So there's this chaos or this mentality or psychologically problem that I have to face because I'm confused. Which one is good?
So who did you guys pray to? I mean, what are your, I wouldn't use the word religion or religious practice, but who did you worship to, if you did at all?
We don't worship anyone. We don't have idols. We don't worship nobody. We know that God, knowledge, N-H-I-A-L-I-C, knowledge. And that knowledge is the creator. And who we create first was Deng, the God of the sky, and his wife, a book.
And you share the same name.
That's my name. That's my name. Never, it cannot be twisted. Cannot be written backward. There's no A in between. It's a D-E-N-G, or in Dinka is Da-Anga. D-E and then N-G is 10. Nga become N-G. So which is basically a letter N-G. So yes, that is a Deng, and we share the same thing with Chuluk tribe. We share the same thing with Nuer. So these are three people, and Anuak have the same thing. We share the same spiritual value, but we don't need to go to a church to go and find out on Sunday or on Friday, go to mosque on Friday to find out whether God has forgiven us. No, we don't have that. We don't idolize things. We don't have to be in a ceremony to actually think that. Each man or a woman believe in that spirituality. And that spirituality is unparalleled because it's not organized. Religion is a gang, in my view. They're just a bunch of gangsters doing all gangster things. It's like a state itself, because each individual in my tribe have a great understanding about God. Every child that is born as a Dinka knows God. So it doesn't need to be taught. It doesn't need to be taught. The moment I came out...
You're talking about organized religion, right?
Yeah, the moment I came out from my mother's womb, I was Deng, I know God. So really, I'm not going to do anything stupid or anything ugly to another human being. That is a simple principle. We are born knowing God. We don't worship idol, but yes, we do have a magic. We practice magic. Yes, we do practice magic. Magic exists. It's real. My father was a magician, is all right. So yes, we do that.
So what do you mean by magic when you say that your father practiced
magic? Call it
magic?
Spirituality or a magic. Magic is something that people don't understand how it happened.
Because a lot of people might associate it with black magic or satanic practices or something like that.
Because satanic
Right?
practices came from the West because they don't know religion, or came from the East because they don't have anything. They have to actually create something to hold them up. Or in my view, it's because they were self-destructing each other, so they have to organize something to hold them together because they were naughty people. They're not rightful in their image. No, my father practiced spirituality. He's a healer. So is other people in the village. They are healers. Those healers, you could call them the practice in black magic, but it's not black magic. It's like saying today we are in Australia in the Black Friday today. Why they going to put Black Friday as a purpose for anything? Anything black, it's actually in the West. It's ugly. That's why they use it. Oh, they're selling things up for nothing. That's the meaning of Black Friday. Yes, something black, even a black cat. I had a Catholic nun. When she saw me when I came here, she crossed her heart because she saw a devil. That was me. Oh,
Really?
absolutely. Go to Catholic
And how
nuns.
did that make you feel?
How do I feel?
How did that make you feel? Yes.
No. I actually feel like I'm glad she saw something different. Didn't hurt me. She's the one that misinformed, and she see everything black as rubbish or dirt, piece of dirt. But I'll never do that. I'll never do that. So really, I don't blame her. I think she should have prayed God for. She should pray almost like Jesus when Jesus died on the cross. Say, forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they are doing. They just don't know what they are doing. They're misled to something.
And when you were growing up along the Nile, how big was your family?
Oh yes, this is beautiful, and of course I do have two nicknames that I have to give you so that you can actually understand. My name was a little swallow, like a little bird, and my mom gave me that, and because I was being born in a big hole where the swallows live there, and I remember swallow, that little bird, is harmful. It's not harmful to anything. It's the most beautiful bird. It's go and eat the bark, and feed its own chooks. So yes, so I have that image. And my other name, where it's laughable now, where I can come from, is called Acham Nalich. Acham Nalich, the God eater.
Acham, no.
The God, Acham Nalich, the God eater. I was born among 43 children of my father, and I'm 42. My father had 6 wives, and a woman that is going to listen to this story. I beg their pardon so that they can understand the issues. Slavery has taken a lot from us. Even my sister-in-law was taken to slavery in 1994. So yeah, Arab slave trade didn't just stop recently. It stopped in 2001. So let them sit.
So when you talk about your
Yep.
sister-in-law was taken into slavery in 1994, what do you mean exactly?
It was taken by
How?
Arab raiders who are the slave owners. That basically because slavery was legal in Sudan. That's what they do. They come and kidnap black people, make them their own slave, breed with them, do whatever, watch them, and when they breed with them, and then eventually you're gonna have a child that is a Dinka, a Nuer, a Chuluk. But because he's now have Arab blood, he considers himself to be Arab. In fact, and you won't even be able to know because he's Muslim, and therefore he's basically anti-black men. That's basically anti-black people.
And what happened to your sister-in-law?
She's still in slavery today.
What?
She haven't returned.
She still
Yep,
is?
she haven't returned. She haven't returned.
And did you guys try to rescue her?
How? No way, because they were powerful. They come with a powerful weapon. Of course, like I said, they come with violence. It's not like they're physically strong. They can't beat me, even running wise. I'll run away. I'll dodge a bullet, leave alone a human being try to catch me. Because I don't think another man can catch me if he's running after me. I'll beat him square wise because naturally I'm fast. Naturally I'm tall. They won't be able to do that. But what they do is using violence as a tool to suppress us. Yes, my sister-in-law is still in slavery today, and that is 21st century history. So yes, so they don't need to deny that. But I have no hatred against them. It's their behavior, it's their culture. Let them do it, but they haven't defeated us. So yeah, let me go back a little bit to the actual story.
Yes.
Because of slave trade,
Yeah.
we have lost a lot of men. They were hunting men like dogs. Take them to Arabia, take them to Yemen, like you see Yemen now, you see all these Yemenis. Take them to Qatar, take them wherever they are to build their own empires. Just like Australia when they were taking convicts, they brought convicts. A lot of them were men. They came here and built Australia. So you could see that from that scenario that women were left with no men. And of course, every woman has a right or a natural right to be married. So men were obligated to make sure that these women must have children because you can't leave a woman without a child for eternity. It's just wrong thing to do. And therefore, with obligation that was put upon my father and my other people, my other tribal members of the community, and every Dinka tribe to actually be able to marry many women. And it was not for fun because you never see Dinka men going around, walking around with a woman holding their hand. We don't do that. We don't go kissing women every day like that. We don't do that. It's not. It's only for procreation that where we exist as a Dinka, as a tribe. There's nothing. Love is rubbish. Doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's actually meaningless.
How did your mothers? You had 6 mothers.
Yes,
right?
I do. That is.
And how did they feel about?
Yes, this is the most beautiful bit. Just imagine you have 6 mothers and you are the second last child. You will be naughty. You'll be full every day.
You must be spoiled.
I was fat kid. I was fat and greedy. I used to just hang around with my brothers.
Yeah.
So I was born into a big family, and one day I was sitting on a razor bed that's so high to make sure that insects and anything else doesn't get us and wild animal. And in fact, where I lived, every single wild animal in Africa have actually visited me, from a lion to zebra to elephant to rhino. All those animals, hyenas, nearly all of them, they come to the Nile and drink right next to my house. And later on, I'm going to tell you a bit of story about it. What happened to me? I remember shooting a baboon with a bow, a children bow, and baboon hunted me for 4 days. 4 days hunted me, wanted to kill me, and basically after the baboon came with a big rock and hurled it at my calf and hit my calf. He thought that I was dead, and he disappeared, never come back. But then he came back maybe a month later. They're a perfect memory like a human. He came back maybe a month later, and he found me. But he couldn't do any harm to me. So he went and took my billy goat, and took the eye off my billy goat.
What is billy goat?
That was my billy goat. Is a goat. When you have a goat,
yes,
and then they have a male goat. That's billy goat. Yeah. So the male billy goat, the baboon came and took all the eye off my billy goat and left them blind. Revenge.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yes, I know baboon very well. Clever like hell. Yeah. So let me go back to this story. So I was laying on the top of the bunk bed. It's like a big bunk bed. That sitting basically you can see from the north to the south to the east to the west because you are elevated. And then I said in Dinka, I said, dang, I was full completely. I was full. My belly was full. My brother was just, touching my belly, rubbing my belly. Sometimes, even if I don't vomit, that means I'm not full. So I must vomit in order to know that I'm full. I was bad. I was
So
bad.
you
I
would
used to measure my
overeat all
belly.
the time. You were
Yes, I used to measure my belly by making sure that when I lay down, I don't see my feet. I can't see my feet because my belly is above my feet. So so I was so full, and I just say this is something wonderful. No child ever said it. Can't be Google. It's right there. It's right there. I said in Dinka, dang. Ku nalindi ya jacham. Kenge ya jacham ababot. I said, I wonder if this God or the sky is eatable, and then everyone can just eat and eat until they have leftovers. What it means is basically, I've reached my limit. I was full, and I wish I could just eat God Himself or knowledge Himself. So yes, I ended up getting a name, Acham Knowledge, the man who wondered that he could eat God. That was my name, because there was no limitation to my belly, because food was available, food abundant, fish in an aisle, wild animal from the forest, the cattle, the maize farm, the cornfield. Well,
But
call
in
them
your
cornfield,
culture,
maize.
don't you have
Yep.
this hierarchy when it comes to eating? Right? That the food is first served
Yes,
to the
children eat
elders.
first. No,
Children eat first.
only kids eat first.
Okay.
Kids eat first. And women we won't even know what they eat, because they will never disclose that, what they're eating. They will never disclose that. Nobody will want to know that. But the men will eat in this one single plate. One single plate. And everyone wash their hand and eat in the same plate. Nobody eat alone. If it is small, we share it all together. That is the culture. And it doesn't matter what it is. Everyone, my uncle's sons, my uncles, my father, all the men will eat in the same plate. Their wives or their relatives will bring food to a single mess, but we eat in the same plate. We share the same plate. Doesn't matter how small it is. So we all share together. Now we are split. You have your little plate. I have my own little plate. Have my spoon. Have my fork and knife. Look at this shopping stuff. No, it didn't exist for us. That is a division that actually breaking everything apart. So for us, it's like a shame. For me, to even use those tools is it's cruel. It's cruel. Because how do I know that you have eaten? Because we wait for you. We wait for you until you say that you're not coming to the dinner. We wait for you. Everyone will wait for you. And it doesn't matter whether 12 at night or 2 a.m., everyone will wait for you. And if you're not coming, that means there's a problem. And then they will call a woman to say, look, we don't know where this person is or where Deng is, so let's put the food aside for him, and everyone else will go there. Only when I inform them that I actually will come a particular time. That is the issue. That is what we do. Nobody eat alone. Nobody eat alone. No man eat alone. No woman even eat alone. In my tribe, we all eat together. It doesn't matter whether it's banana, we share it equally with our hand, with our fingers.
So you know, because I've read your book, this
Yep.
Songs of a War Boy.
I know you did. Yeah, I know you did. Yeah.
And you're talking about, how your belly was so full and you were surrounded by such a
Yes.
big family and the most beautiful landscape, Nile just by
Oh,
your
yeah.
house. And why did the war come? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I'll tell you. I'll tell you about it, and this is the most important bit. I think um, I think 85, the North Sudanese government collaborated with French. French, think about it. Think about French. They're far away from their homeland, but they come to my homeland. Even did a petrol exploration. And like I say, I can give you coordinate, perfect coordinate. I am in Malik. Next door to Malik is actually the block Bar, BA, which is the oil where they extract the oil. It could take me, since I'm fast, it could take me maybe good 20 minutes to run there to that spot. So yes, they discover oil in next to my house. This is my house I'm talking about. Frenchman, how the hell he knows what's under my ground? How did he know that there's oil there? Because we don't even need it. Nobody need cooking for it because we have firewood. We have a dead firewood that we use. We don't chop down trees. But the French came down and discovered oil. And secondly, they then collaborated with the Egyptian, greedy human beings, you could ever imagine. The water from the Nile that serve us as a human being, as a pastoralist, people that, a lot of my communities, I'm a fisherman. I came from a fisherman's side. That's why I didn't mention to you, this devil, they dig their feet in our land and then colonize us. So they use us as a tool. That's where 1903 was the best time for them, not for me. They established missionaries there with High Bishop Shaw coming down with all missionaries and colonized us. So French then decided to divert the water from the swamp of the Nile
Okay.
to create another tribute to the Nile, artificial one, by creating what they call a Jonglei Canal. Jonglei Canal. And that canal would take the water to Egypt. For what benefit? Whose benefit? Not my benefit, not benefit for the local people, because eventually these local people, if there's a dry land, they're gonna fight over a little water that is left. Because they are pastoralists, they have cattle. So our great leader, peace be upon him, Dr. John Grant, said, look, this is not good. We have to start a war. And they start a war, 1985, May, 16 of May. I remember that because we have a song for it. Everything is built in a song. So yeah, 16 of May, next to my village, 15 kilometers from my village, the first gun was fired and rebellion started, 85. And of course, most of my brothers, because of missionaries, like I said, missionaries started there. That means there's a little bit of education, reading and writing. And most of my tribal people there, including my brother, Adut Tekadut, my older brother, who was in
John?
a third year at university. No, Adut.
Adut.
Adut
Okay.
was in the third year at the University of Khartoum. And in fact, because of their crime, they even took his eye off. Took his eye off. Literally took my brother's eye off. And my brother became a rebel and formed the 1st battalion, or military battalion of SPLA, which is Jamus, the 1st battalion. My brother was there and he came as second lieutenant. That is the Dut Tegadut.
And SPLA is?
Sudan People Liberation Army. Yep. It's uncorrupt, just like me.
So you're saying that your village, or the area that you lived in,
Yeah.
it had oil,
Yeah.
and that is why
Yeah.
the French came and the war happened.
Yes. You know how stupid it is. Let me just. This is laughable. They even name that place a Total, 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 which is a French company. There's a village called Total in my home. Imagine that. Yes.
And what does it signify?
It's right now. It's an oil company. An oil company from French. In my village, my house, few blocks away, not even far away.
And how did you get embroiled?
So yes, we have a French village there, a French village called Total. From those criminals that own oil. They don't even have oil.
How did you get embroiled
So
in
that
this
is
war?
a reason. Huh?
How did you get embroiled? You were just, how old were you? 7?
I was 6 years old, and basically because what I explained to you, the war can be won by a weak heart. It takes a plan to do that. Even sometimes you can deceive children. So children like us were conscripted, and the reason I was conscripted was a lie to my family. They said that we were going to Ethiopia to be educated. No. We were not going for that reason. There was a purpose for us. Our purpose was to be trained as a Red Army. And the future was to be decided by us. And yes, Red Army was the branding, and how we get the Red Army is because red means too young, or young soul that need to be trained or indoctrinated to make sure that when they come back strong, armed soldiers, and they took us. And for me,
So they
when
meaning
they came-
SPLA. SPLA took you guys.
SPLA, Sudan People Liberation Army. Yep.
And why did your parents, why did your mother let you go?
Oh, well, she didn't have choice. They took 6 years old. They took anything, any boy, and especially not just any boy. A family must give up a boy, each family. And of course, for my direct father, it was me. And of course, my brothers, like I said, I was the youngest. I had brothers that had children that are older than me. Before that, I was an uncle before I was born. That's the key. So yes, I have nephews that were conscripted with me to join the army. And so it wasn't me alone. I have nephews.
So you had
were
children who were with you who were younger than you. So you were 6. And they were...
Hell yeah. Actually, I was the youngest in my clan, my family. I was the youngest. But my brother's sons were older than me. So yes, they don't have a choice. Even me, I didn't have a choice anyway. So it's compulsory.
And you marched for...
or compulsory.
You marched for 33 days.
Yep. And we marched
through the
for
Sahara
over
Desert.
33 days. Harder than you could ever imagine. There was no water, there was no food. The few things that we had was just what our parents gave us. For example, my mother got some nuts that she actually kept for us. But marching for that period, we didn't have water. Marching for over 33 days, there was no food. We don't even know, none of our family ever been there. The only person that knows that place that ever been there was our rebel leader, which is Dr. John Garang Mabur Atim. He knew the place. So yeah, he said these children should go to Ethiopia and be trained and to have a future, which eventually a lot of people would think that what he did was wrong, but it's not wrong. Because Tipa
Sahara
died.
Desert.
Tipa did die. Yep.
Yes, yes, please
It's
go on.
no, not Sahara, not Sahara. It's a Jagir, Sahara, a Jagir. It's not Sahara, but it's a
Okay.
Jagir. A-J-G-E-R, a Jagir. The
Ajagir.
2 minutes desert that we have there, a Jagir. So
Yeah.
we marched through that. And my older brother, I have too many brothers, so I have to just say that. My brother, Joe, and a Dut Mongok, another Adut, A-D-U-T, went with us. But Adut Mongok returned. But I was actually being carried on his shoulder. He carried me on his shoulder.
With no food, no water, in the scorching heat.
The heat is not a problem. We love heat. We love heat. The issue with water and food.
You know, when I was reading your book, there was a harrowing story, you know, where in the desert, when you guys were very, very thirsty, there was no water.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
your
I'll tell you.
leaders,
I'll tell you.
yeah. Can you tell us about that? And especially when I
Yeah,
was reading it and I was thinking, you know, a 6-year-old child witnessing things like that, how did it make you feel? What was going on in your head?
Well, just to tell you the actual story, this is very important. But this is a story that is not my story because I haven't seen it. I've heard men putting gun onto another man so that they urinate into a jarbania or a cup, military cup, so that they can actually sip at it because they didn't have urine of their own. So yes, that happened. But my uncle, basically, he distributed water. He fished it. He didn't even need to drink water at all. How he survived, I don't know. But the cap, just like Coca-Cola can top, you can basically put the water there. That's your ration and put it in your tongue. Makes your mouth dry. And no single drop of water fall down. Otherwise, it's just, you're going to die because there's no other way. And on our way, because we ran out of water, we accidentally found the heads of elephant on a road, head of elephant. So we shot the elephant not for the meat, but because the elephant, when they eat the grass and the hay, there's a lot of water inside the belly. So you have to squeeze that and drink it. Doesn't matter how tasteful it was not about the taste, nothing to do with anything other than just to survive. And we didn't even eat the meat because if you eat any meat, you would die. There's no time to eat it. Even if you drink the blood, it will actually make you more thirsty. So it was not even allowed to drink the blood or even eat the meat.
So for 33 days you starved. In a way.
Oh yeah, shit yeah. Yes, we arrived to a place called Pinyindu, Pindou. Of course, the call Sudan is it's mean in Arabic, Balad al-Sudan means the land of black people, but they still have an eye for it, like it belonged to them. So
why do you think Arabs have an eye or had an eye on Sudan? What was their motive?
Oh, well, the motive is they don't have a land. The land is dry, and they just want another man's land, which they don't own, and of course, Western Arabia, other than desert, this is Nile. This is Nile. Even if you look at Egypt, it belongs to us. It doesn't belong to them, because the God have given mankind, what they're supposed to have. Every resource that they're meant to have under their land. I don't need to be in Australia. I don't need to. Because the God have given me everything that I need underneath me and above me. But a greedy man came to my land and said, you want it all. You want me to become a Muslim? And even if I become a Muslim, I'm still not even a citizen of that country. Do you see that? That's basically the point they try to make, and they fail. They fail badly, and they still had ability and they had the power to actually have North Sudan now under their control. And you see the United Arab Emirates, what they're doing in North Sudan. So yes, it's more of ethnic cleansing that have taken place. And of course, we had genocide ever taken place. And like I said, the slavery stopped in 2001, where my sister-in-law was taken to slave. Yes, they need commodity. They need people build their stuff. They just want to stay there in big jalabia and white jalabia and smoke a shisha. And then there's a slave that look like me that's taking care of all these things. Yes, it's about that thought, that method of having a luxury where somebody else is doing you something and you're not doing it for yourself. That's why. Because what bring Arab to my country? What bring Arab to Sudan? What bring them to Egypt? It just doesn't make sense.
A lot of people might really not understand how a 6-year-old child, especially, could, march all the way through a desert and then also, use rifles like that and be so emotionally detached.
Yeah.
Right. So can you tell us how were you feeling emotionally, and whether you were missing your family? What did you think about your future? How you had imagined your future?
I think in terms of future, my imagination of future, let me just explain to you so that everyone can understand. And if they don't understand after this, I don't think humanity could understand after this, because I want to talk to you about exactly what I mean. When I left my home, like I said, my belly was always full. There was nothing empty in my belly. If there was no food, I would cry. I'll bite everybody. And if there's a food, then I would start listening to the stories, sometimes distort the stories to the point that I think that I could eat the God himself. That is the image of me living in the Nile. But when I went to Ethiopia, there was no milk. And every Dinka child drink milk. Every Dinka man drink milk. We drink milk for breakfast, for lunch, for a dinner. We do that. When I left, I went to Ethiopia, there was no single milk that I could drink. I had then suffered as something that no man could even come back like me. I lost my mind as a human being, as a child. I used to go and eat another human being poo, or call it shit. I went through that process when my belly was so corrupted to the point that I ended up in a hospital. It's not even a hospital because there was no hospital. It was a death ward because I saw my nephew, Anyang, Mabiu, all die in my face in that place. But I refused to die. Why? Because I was thinking about my mother, Atiu Akaudeng, and my uncle, Gongich Ingwing. Yes, how I went insane as a child. Madness is not good enough. I lost my insanity. That is the consequences of what happened to me in Ethiopia. Now, did I ever thought about my family? Yes, I do. My mother, my uncle kept me alive. I want to go to my uncle Gongich cattle camp to get the milk. There was no milk. It was just the forest. I want to go and see my mother. There's no mother there. Yes, that's how horrible the situation I was in. And I wasn't just not alone. I think there were other few people that were eating the same thing that I was eating. And it's not a joke. Everyone knows that what I went through.
You have said that there were times when the memory of your mother started fading away.
Yes.
And you tried very hard to, keep her intact in your memory. Because that is your identity as well, right?
The most beautiful identity that I could
So,
ever.
when you said you started,
Yep.
you started eating poo, and the memories of your mother, sort of brought you back to sanity in a way. Is that how you? So how did
That's how
you
I actually.
realize that you were going insane? And
No. That's how I actually realized that I actually become a human being. A human being. It was that memory of my mother that actually saved me. It was my mother that saved me. It was nobody else. Nobody. It was my mother, not my father, not my relative. In fact, when I was in Ethiopia and I was sick after I eat all human poo that you could ever imagine, one of my nephew, my elder nephew, told me that I should die because I was poking him with my bones. So I told him, because I'm his uncle, doesn't matter, rank, it's not just about age apply, but about seniority, how you came about, how you are born. So even though he was born before me, I was still his uncle, and he respected that. So I have no issue with that. I told him, you gotta leave. You gotta leave because I'm not gonna die. Yes, it happened and he left. I don't have an issue with him because he did listen to me, because I tried my best to kill myself, but I was too weak to even carry out what I actually wanted to. So, yeah.
So when you said you tried your best to kill
I tried.
yourself,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
After he told me that my bones were poking him, that I was hurting him.
So what does he mean by your bone was poking him? What does that mean?
My bone were poking out of my body. I was one of those child that you see in UNICEF photos that the fakery used to go and defraud people with money. Yes, every part of me was just bony. I was told by all my relatives to kill myself because my bone were poking him. Every part of my body was just bony. There's no meat attached to it. So yeah, UNICEF, whatever the hell they are, is a defrauding people. They never seen a man like me. But they took a pictures.
But UN also helped you get out of Sudan, didn't they?
But what cost? They should have stopped Arab from committing crimes. They should have done that. They have power. United Nations, their Security Council. What cost? My cost? They should have stopped them. It's like Palestinian children now crying, dying. Is UN helping them? No. So yes, UN got me here, but UN killed my family. You're responsible for that. They should have stopped, because humanity needs to be stopped by humanity itself. UN got me out, yes, but I don't even think it was UN that got me out. It was my brother that got me out. My brother smuggled me out of the army when I was actually injured in Nottingham. He smuggled me out. He was a second lieutenant.
And you got injured.
1994, yes.
You got injured many times. You have how many shots in your body? You've got shot many times, right?
At 19 bullet wound, 19 shrapnel in my body, 4 bullet wound. 19 shrapnel and 4 bullet wounds in my body.
19 shot wounds and
shrapnel.
What is that?
Shrapnel is when
I don't know what that is.
When a bomb explodes, and then I got my share, he got his share, you got your share. Everybody got poked with those with the bomb. When a bomb explodes, it becomes shrapnel. It turn into some sort of
And you survived each time.
oh yeah, they can't kill
Really?
me. No, I'm unkillable. Yep. As long you're looking forward to humanity or life in general, or to your mother, nobody can kill you. You die only when you lose hope. When hopes disappear, you're going down. But when you keep a hopes,
So when your nephew asked you, when your nephew said that your
I
bones
dismiss
were
him.
hurting him, and he said you should just kill
I
yourself.
dismissed him. I thought
And where did you get that strength and intelligence and wisdom to dismiss and not lose hope? I mean, for people who are in extremely hopeless situations, this question is for them.
I can't explain it.
How did you keep your
I can't
hope?
explain that to you in any other way other than me knowing that he is my nephew and I have authority over him in any way. So, in my view, is if he's my nephew, I mean, he's God. I mean, he's my son. It's my nephew. It's my son. And you can't tell me his father and my father, his father and me come from the same dad.
Brothers.
Yep. So this little man, even though he's older than me, it makes no sense that he have to actually give me those threat to me. So yeah, my spirit is more powerful than he is. So yeah,
But what if it was somebody older than you in hierarchy?
and then
And
the
if, for
consequences I will
example, your
bear.
uncle would have said that to you?
I don't think I will be alive today. I would actually accept it. I could have accepted it, that I actually a burden. Then I'm gone.
So, you reached Australia when you were around 12
No,
years
I
of
was
age.
14.
Or 14.
just turned 15.
14.
Yes.
You were 14.
Yeah, 1998,
And
June
now
26.
you are 40.
Hmm?
So you reached Australia in your teens,
Yes.
right? And now you're, in your late 30s.
No. I'm
or maybe
40-year-old
40.
man. I got a gray hair in my head. I'm an ancient man. I feel like I'm 78, 90 year old. I feel like,
So do you, because I think
do you,
most of your life,
before
if
you
I
even ask the
calculate
question,
it
do you want
that
to
way,
trace my coming to Australia from the moment I landed?
yes,
Let's go.
yes,
Let's go.
I do.
1998, it was me, my brother John, and in fact, my name was David. I have to be given a Christian name to conform here. I changed it because I'm not David.
So were you also baptized?
Yeah, everything was wrong. I was baptized, and I pray that I am not going to be. I'm going to be debaptized again because it's the worst crime you could ever commit. Who's John in my family? Who's David in my family? Who? Nobody. Except colonial mentality to feed into something that you don't be. So I came here with my sister-in-law, my nephew Joshua, and my brother John, and we settled in Blacktown June 26, 1998. My father, Uncle Bob, a white guy, still alive today, it's my father, and a white woman, Christine Addison Campbell, Bob Addison Campbell. They sponsored us from Nairobi in Kenya, and they brought us to Australia. When we got here, Bob picked us up, took us to Blacktown. Bob and Christine were actually the Catholic, were from Catholic diocese. And so should I have anything against them? No. Because without a Bob, my brother was going to die because my brother was a political piece of crap. Okay? He was going against the leader of the movement, which I don't even appreciate because Dr. John Garang, it was just because he was tortured. He was tortured and left for dead. That's why.
And can you tell us a little bit about the flight? You took a
The
flight
flight was
from
bad.
Nairobi
It
to Hong
It was so
Kong,
ugly.
and
It
you
was so
didn't eat
ugly.
anything.
Now, I have to say something bad about Chinese people. Chinese people, when we arrived there, they start looking at us, start wrapping at our skin like there was dirt attached to this part of my body.
No, they were doing it to you.
Yes, me and my brother. They actually asked my brother, because I couldn't speak English, they asked my brother to actually wrap to see whether I am actually painted with dirt. Chinese people.
And did you know what they were doing at that time?
I didn't know. My brother told me.
Did you realize?
No. I thought I was like a pet to them now. That's how I feel like. But just imagine a Chinaman. I could describe anything about Chinese people, but I will never say anything bad.
But
But if you go
I
that
think
far,
even for you, it must have been the first time.
1998,
to
there were
see
a
a
lot of
Chinese
Sudanese
person.
in Australia. I think in New South Wales there were about 4 families that are Sudanese in Australia. So
And you were one of them?
yes. So yes, I don't blame these, the whole China. They don't even know today. They don't even know. I don't blame China. I want to blame Australia.
So when you came to Australia, it must have been a very different world for you,
Racism in practice.
right? Especially, if we talk about simple things like crossing the road
It's
or
racism
going to
in
the
practice.
supermarket.
It's a racism in practice. It haven't changed since I came here. No. It's just I made my way. That's a big difference. Haven't changed. Haven't changed. It's actually even worse as we speak today. So
What do you mean?
It's worse. It's worse. It's worse. I have most of my members of my community being locked up in prison today. Racism in practice.
Without any reason?
There's no
Just
reason
pure
for a white
racism?
man to lock and a black man up. He's black. That's all. I actually, do you know, I'm the only man here that been asked for identification, that I'm a lawyer. You don't even ask for a criminal to go to court to show their ID because they're criminal already and they're meant to be there. But for me to say I'm a lawyer is a claim that I'm a lawyer. There you go. And it's false claim, and they have to actually wrap up everything. They have to bring their security. They have to bring their registry. They have to bring everybody that's there to prove that I am actually who I said I was. In Australia, I'm always declined.
But you've also received enormous success in Australia as one of the top lawyers in the country.
Yes, but do you know how many of them saw that? It's just because of that little bit doesn't mean that these people have changed their attitude or their culture or their mindset. They're still fixated the same way. It's no different. You can't change a racist mind. It's a racist mind. It's like getting caught with tuberculosis, you will cough forever. If you have AIDS, you're going to die of AIDS. A racist mind will die like that. They will poison their children just like that. And that is how it is. It's no different. Yes, Australia have a people. I was brought here by an Australian white woman and white father. It doesn't mean that I have to actually dishonor them, because the reason they brought me here is because they knew that I'm a human being. And I'll speak for them. Otherwise, I would dishonor them. That is the key to it. Yes, they got us here. So should I actually pretend that they didn't do the right thing? Yes, I stand by them. And that is the key to it. So any other person there, they're doing whatever they're doing is, unless they say that I was lesser, why would they waste their money? I didn't come here. You ain't got me a ration card to come to Kakuma. But who got me here? No, not United Nations. With Australian mother and Australian father, white people. So I'm
And
not
they
going
really
to
helped
pretend.
you integrate in the Australian life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not going to pretend that like I don't know who got me here. Who's a woman with a heart, a woman
Now,
that knows I'm
you
not a
know,
human.
people talk about refugees, they read about refugees, they read about the struggles. In many places, refugees are also really looked down upon.
Yep.
They are looked at like they are thieves,
Yeah.
criminals, and people often don't realize the struggles behind a refugee's life, especially when they have been forced out of their country without their will, right? Uh, and they come to a new country and they're often trapped in the refugee camps
Yeah.
where the laws are very strict. You cannot leave the camp after 6 o'clock. You cannot have another job. Or you cannot earn money. All of that, and
Thank you.
right.
Is that
So, can
democracy?
you tell us a little bit about
Is that
that?
democracy? No.
Pardon?
Is that democracy? Is that democratic country? Is that how democratic should be described? When you basically put some people in a cage and they have timeline and they had some sort of breathing point. Sometimes they even have one phone call. Even now Australia is saying that people in migration detention center should never have a phone call. Just imagine that. This is Australia, we call it democracy. Think about it. That's not democracy. I actually feel so bad for my Sudanese brothers because I know some Sudanese left Sudan because they ran away from their life, went to Egypt, crossed the ocean to come to Australia. The risk they took to come to this place is incalculable. Captain Cook didn't come with that ragged ass boat, that dirty boat, that stupid boat. No, come with a proper ship. But these people, they did unthinkable. I want to ask people to give it a go, but they made it to come here. And you know what they find themselves in? In a cage. In cages where they can't even breathe. You know, if I were them, I would rather die than actually crossing the ocean to come here. I would rather die as a human being. And for me to be in this position, it's absolutely true. Because that's what they try. You can't even make a phone call when you are in a detention center. Just imagine these people, and they call themselves democratic nation. What is the definition of democracy then? I don't get it. For me, I have a white mother and a white father that got me here. So I'm not against white people, even though it's not their land. It's a black man land, Aboriginal land. Even though Aboriginal, sometimes they treat me like I'm an invader, which I actually accept. That yes, I got here, and if I invaded you, I apologize. I sincerely apologize as a human being. But I'm not going for that. I pay forward, I don't pay backward. In the beginning, I pay forward. I have never dishonored them. I never get angry. I have never done that. I have never dishonored any human being ever walk on a planet, whether they're blind or crippled. In fact, before I got to this office, I saw a homeless man in a street. In a street. Why should we have homeless people in Australia when it's spending money to go and kill people in Ukraine or Ukrainian support? I don't give a damn about that. I want my people to be respected, to be treated well. This guy picking on rubbish. Why?
And now you are one of the biggest human rights lawyers in Australia.
I'm actually better than
And
them.
you are
I'm actually
addressing
better
these
than
issues.
every single lawyer here because all of them, they're so quiet. They don't see what is happening. They think they will win with the gun. No, I'm the winner. I'm the first man to win with a gun. And they're never going to win with a gun. Because unless you got your son there, you got your daughter there, getting shot at, came back with mental illness, came back with all diseases, you got to deal with it. I'm dealing with myself. But what they're doing is actually wrong, and they will face the consequences. I don't care whether 100 years from
What
now,
do you
200
think?
years, they're going to pay for it.
How have your experiences as a soldier, you say that you've had a gun in your back and you've had that experience and you are unkillable, um, have really shaped up your personality and also as a lawyer, right?
Yep,
To help people.
yep.
A lot of people might think, you have that, rage in you. You have used AK-47.
Yes. I do.
Uh,
I do have a rage. I have not used it perfectly. I have not used it against anyone. But if I use it, I don't think anyone can stop me. If only me can stop me. That's the point. But you have to realize, as a human being, the power within you, whatever skill you have to be for the benefit of humanity. Even when I was at war, was for benefit of humanity. You don't just go and kill everybody, kill goat, kill cow, kill chicken. Well, you gotta leave chicken for somebody to eat. You just don't kill chicken. That is the morality of a lawyer. That's the morality of a soldier. I think soldier is equivalent of a lawyer. You kill when you want to kill. You defend what you can defend as a lawyer. It's not like nothing is difficult. Nothing is. I hate people saying this is complicated. What is complicated? Nothing is complicated. If I'm going to the toilet and going to pee, it's not complicated. Nothing is complicated. If I want to go and kill somebody, it's not complicated because I desire to do it. Everything is intentional. Nothing is by accident. That's fact. And a lawyer got caught up in that situation is there was no accident. It's a deliberate act. If you think, or anybody think, from that, what I just described is the lawyer is equivalent to a soldier, it's actually, it doesn't think that. It's actually that person is wrong because you know what to defend. You can't go around killing women and children as a soldier. You don't go around and try to get murderers and pedophile out because they pay you a lot of money. No, it doesn't work like that. The world have to be clear and clean from consciousness. No, I would die like me. That's proper because I have never done any of those wrongly. Yes, I shot people in a war. I've done it.
One day, as a soldier.
No, I would never even touch a cockroach. Like we discussed before, I'm happy I'm a lawyer and I'm a soldier. If I have to kill something, I have to have a reason to kill it. We don't go around and kill all the elephant, giraffe, and store it, keep it for tomorrow. We don't do that. That's natural. We don't do that. We don't want to sell it to India, China, Bangladesh, North America. We don't want to do that. You just kill one elephant and you eat it as a family and eat every part of it, but don't sell it to something. The selling, the marketing is the issue. That's how we are marketed today as a human being. So for me, no, I'll never do that. So when I become a lawyer, and just to move forward with the story, I understood that when you take out a bullet as a soldier and cock your gun and aim at somebody, whether you fire it or you don't fire it, you already actually committed a crime. That's how it works. Doesn't matter whether you fire it or not. There was intention there to harm somebody or to actually create a fear. And that is simple. And it's in your advantage. So I don't give a damn about people that say they didn't fire the gun. I don't care about that. I don't care about it. It's because they cocked the gun, and whether they aim it or not, they have intention to create a fear of death in general, because I know what it means to fear of death. So, and I'll run away from the death. I don't need it. I hope the death will catch me one day, and we talk to, and I talk to the death. So let's move. When I came to Australia, the reason I become a lawyer, and which is very important, which form part of this conversation, it was because my brother John told me to become a lawyer because I disagreed with him every single aspect of his life. I don't agree with him. We fought each other. He was a second lieutenant when he died with a major in the army. I been tortured all my life in the army. There was nothing in the army that they haven't done for me, okay, except firing squad, which they didn't put me there. So I know what it is. So I become an opposite of anything other than myself. So John said, well,
Do
you want to be?
you do you have PTSD?
Oh, yeah. This is in my pocket. It's the longest line of PTSD. I had a long PTSD. I think my strain of PTSD is longer than COVID-19 PTSD. Yep. It's longer.
It's funny how you say it.
Yeah.
Longer than COVID-19.
Yes, it's longer than COVID-19 strain. Yes, I do. I have suffered with PTSD, and
And you still do?
it made me angry, sad. At a point, I am now used to sleeping on a bed that is higher. Back then, I used to sleep on the ground because sometimes I wake up running, and while I'm sleeping, and then I hit my head on a wall and had a concussion, and I have no reason, I have no explanation for it at all. I just had concussion. That's what it is. Yeah. So all these things,
And,
like
and
I
how
said,
did you deal with it? How did you overcome it?
I think with my brother, because I'd keep telling him and he didn't listen. So we ended up putting a camera in my room, and he watched my behavior at night. And he basically said that around 2 a.m. to 2 a.m. to 4, it's a bad episode for me. So I normally have to run. I cry, I jump, I ran, I scream, "Don't kill me! Don't kill me!" I saw birds flying, and I thought they are helicopters in my head, and that made me run and hit my head on a concrete, and that was too dangerous. So my brother said, "Look, get a sleep on the floor, and have a mattress on the floor, and then from there I sleep on the floor until I slowly raise up my bed to a higher level, but otherwise
Gradually.
gradually, yes, gradually, because, and of course, I have to wake up. I have to put my alarm up about 2 a.m. before."
Do you also have PTSD when it comes to people of authority? Like when you see somebody
I hate
in
authorities. I hate
a police.
authorities. I hate everybody that is authoritarian. I had my law firm since 2014. I never called any of my employees anything other than the fact that we work together. I'm not their boss at all. I hate the word boss. Nobody want to call me boss because that's where I got triggered. Because those people that call themselves boss, they're responsible for death of other people. So any authority, it look like me, like I'm a real killer, a real murderer, a person that have a power to end somebody's life. So no, every time somebody calls me boss, it hurt me, then I have to have a nightmare over it. So yes, so none of them ever in their
And
life.
what about withdrawal symptoms or goodbyes? Because when you left for Ethiopia, the last person you saw was your mother.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, it was my mother, and I see my mother every day. I don't think I have lost sight of my mother. It's the most beautiful part. Even though sometimes I cry, it's actually the most beautiful part. I don't cry because somebody hurt me. I cry because I need her. I want her to be there. That is always in my head. Even though she's gone. She passed away in 2021 during COVID. She passed away. I still remember.
So did
her
you go
face.
meet her after coming to Australia?
Oh yeah. It was 2003. My brothers, because I have my own grave, my tombstone. We don't have tomb like people that put concrete. Especially when my mother passed away, her last wish. I'm sorry to actually cut the story. Her last wish is she doesn't need a rock on her tombstone. She doesn't need a concrete on her tombstone. She needs to be buried and turned into a tree. My father turned into a tamarind tree next to my house. And she's buried with my father. And I hope she turned into a tamarind tree or another tree we call tau. That is how we lived. And in fact, when I went to South Sudan in 2012 when I returned, I ate the tamarind tree. That is actually where my father is buried. So I have my father in every aspect of it. So yes.
How was it when you reunited with your mother after the war, after you came to Australia? Did she know you were still alive? Did you know she was still alive?
She didn't. No. I knew she was alive. But she didn't know that I was alive. She thought that I was dead. She actually had my grave next to my father. She had my symbolic grave, my tombstone, next to my father. So yes, she knew that I was dead. People told her that I was dead. Especially when I was in Ethiopia, she knew that I was dead. I was never there. That's it. Even my brother knew that I was dead until he found me by accident in 1995 in Nottingham. So John decided to smuggle me out, put me in a truck. The worst part about the truck is there was the grain, there was the corns, food there that were destined for our people, soldiers there, but they're being stolen, taken to Kenya to be sold. That's a problem. So yeah, there was a lot of corruption going on. So John put me in a truck, and I was laying under the sack of the corn because I didn't have a permit to leave. And I used to do the checkup. I used to have a spear to check under the corn who is beneath that. But nobody was there. Nobody could spear me. So I left through a checkpoint and I made it to Kenya. And it took us over 8 hours plus just to be under that sack of corns and a heat through. It didn't matter to me anyway. And eventually we got to Lokashogyo around, we left at 3 a.m., about 4 a.m., because I was in charge of central duty. I have to put my gun, bury my gun, and make a rock look like I'm sleeping there. That's what happened. I would leave about 3 a.m., and we came to Kenya, I think about 4 p.m. That's when we arrived, 4 or 5 p.m.
You know, when you reunited with your mother, did you tell her all these stories?
Huh?
When
Sorry?
you reunited with your mother, did you narrate her all these stories?
Yes, I told her the whole story. And so, yes, and before I even told her the whole story, my brother told her the whole story about what happened, how he smuggled me out. And,
You know, you know that ad of yours of Western Australia,
it wasn't Sydney.
where they have actually Western Sydney, sorry. And they have made an ad on your life.
Yes.
And every time I watch it, each and every time, I have tears in my eyes. And my favorite scene is right at the end when you've grown up, you've become this lawyer, and you go back to your village.
Mama. Yeah.
Your mother comes out of the hut, and she just looks at you, and you're just looking at her.
Yeah.
That's my favorite bit.
It's actually my.
Did it happen like that?
Oh yes. Actually, the single thing that's missing about that, she heard that I was coming, so she got up in the morning. Her house is just next to the road, and Nile is around the corner, and the church is there. You could see Nile with your eyes, and she was sitting under a tau tree. I don't know what they call it. We call it tau. It's in Arabic they call it lalop. It's only available. It's only in South Sudan where it is. She was sitting there all day in a little chair, and she was expecting me to come. And I think every car come. I don't know whatever happened to every car that stopped in that point. But when I arrived and I got out, this old woman got up on a chair. She was just wrinkly. You could see the vein. I call it the map of the war. She's a whole body. You could trace all the suffering through a vein. She was a map of Sudan in terms of war. And she got up, and I was just walking. She ran, she dropped a walking stick, and she ran toward me. And she grabbed me, and I was just too big for her. I was just too big for her. And I could feel a wrinkly, mapped body. I could feel that. And we just got into this cry, and she sat me in her laps. And I was like, I'm gonna break your bone. And she didn't listen. I sat on her lap until she actually, she just let me go on her own accord. I couldn't leave her laps. And that moment, it's, you can't. It's a magical moment. That was after how many, 28 years. 28 years. She recognized me. She knows who her son is. And even though I didn't recognize her, I just know there was another old woman there. She recognized me. She knows who I was. And that moment is, it's magical in my view. I hope if I die and I met my mother the same way and we'll meet up like that, I don't think I'll be separated from her again. I don't think I would have a chance to even migrate to another universe or another parallel universe. I'll be with her. And so I feel bad that I actually have to return to Australia. Whatever the reason that got me back to Australia, it was my brother. It was nothing to do with me. Otherwise, I could have just lived with my mother until the day that she died. Unfortunately, sometimes human mind can be colonized by something stupid, something foolish. I would rather be a fisherman like my father than gaining a low degree for whatever cause it was, than leaving my mother. And then eventually she died. And when I tried to even go and visit her, and I had a premonition about her that she's dying. Nobody told me, nobody called me, nobody know that. And I was crying, and I told a friend of mine, Hugh Remington from Channel, he worked for CNN, and he's my brother, old best friend. I called him, I said, look, they're not gonna let me go. And I think my mother is dying. I was crying at the airport. And It couldn't detain me because of COVID-19. They detained me there. I missed my mother for just one day. One day before she gave me her last word. That's the cost. That's what it cost me. And her last word was basically she doesn't need concrete in her headstone. She doesn't need that. She want to turn into some sort of plant, just like my father and something like that. That is what I caught. But just imagine that. Just imagine you want to go to do a right thing, but you then become a subject of some sort of quarantine. Is that a democracy? I don't get it. So for me, I'm very disappointed. But I've done a lot for Australia anyway, so I don't think I owe Australia anything. I don't think I owe any humanity anything left. I don't even owe anybody anything. I owe myself things. I owe myself a future. I have done everything after I wrote that book. The proceed goes to Humanity Foundation. We had 13 scholarships so far that have been given because of the book that I wrote. So I'm not a beneficiary. The community, the Australian, have been a beneficiary toward my story, not me, because I haven't benefited anything. My benefit would have been for me to actually watch my mother die, because I have never seen how my father died. But we have a system. We live in an authoritarian society. It's not democracy. Australia is the most authoritarian society you could ever have. There are people that are ready to shoot you by the order or lock you up by the order of a PM or some sort of cop. That's Australia. Just to be honest with you, that's basically, it's not how I feel. I told you before that sometimes they ask me for my ID to prove myself that I'm a lawyer. Come on. It's a joke. It's a joke. And many of African lawyers, I think most of them came after me. And I met them, follow that way. I inspire a few other African lawyers. I train a lot of them. And despite my gray hair,
How did you maneuver your way through, these racial biases that you're talking about?
I did.
And at the age of 14, I think you started reading and writing for the first time in a country which, the language was completely different.
I think how I maneuver myself, first of all, I learned English through Wiggles. Wiggles, if you know Wiggles. And in fact, I told you, I don't think I said that before, but I remember when I first came here, I put Coca-Cola can in the microwave just to take the chill out of it and it detonate. It was a bad idea to put Coca-Cola into microwave to warm it up. I remember electrocuting myself with electric blanket, turning up to the point because it was just too cold in Katoomba and I didn't even know what to do, what to adjust. So I thought I wet my bed. It wasn't because when you had a trauma, automatically you wet yourself. That's what it is. And I know that's a fear factor that would happen. So I thought I wet my bed, that I pee myself. No, I didn't. It was a sweat. I was just in a puddle of sweat. And I remember trying to get to Pendle Hill, to play soccer. And I stood at train station not knowing what to do, what to press on those machines. So those things were hard.
And you became you also got the Australian of the Year award.
Yes, and I gave Australia Day address, and I don't think anybody can beat my Australia Day address. I don't think. Let them beat it. They set the bar too high.
So if you have to give one message to the world, right, especially looking at your life and your experiences,
Yeah.
what would it be?
Well, I would tell the world is we have human mind is weak enough. And if you don't have a culture that hold you together, you will become not a victim at all, but you become a perpetrator. And a human being can become a perpetrator. But if you hold on to something, like remembering your mother's name, like remember your grandfather's name, remember them, what they did. If it is something bad, then don't do it. If you know it's something good, and then practice that goodness that came out from your mama's womb. That's what it is. And if you practice that, and then there's a blessing attached to it. So humanity should remember that bloody 9 months of nourishment. And if they can remember that, and then I don't think they could call themselves an alien to one another. We call each other human being. And being able to educate yourself by making sure what your father was doing wrong, you don't repeat it. But we are a bunch of repeat offenders, especially the Western world. Bunch of repeat offenders. Repeat offenders. They do what their ancestors did. And that is a cycle. I'm not part of that. I am better. And everyone should actually know if I can change from whatever happened, especially my sister-in-law being in slavery today, taken by Arab, and I forgive Arabs. They're actually beneficiary of my scholarship, John Knight Foundation scholarship, Arabs. But eventually, the story is not just about just forgiveness. It's knowing that you're better. You have a better power. A power of forgiveness is being able to be your own role model. And being my own role model is that I don't follow anything that other people tell me. I follow what my soul tells me. I follow what is good for me. I follow what my mother had taught me, because my mother, before she died, and I remember it, she loved the whole earth, inside out. That is the whole thing. So my mother teaching is my teaching.
You talk about Dinka songs. In your book,
Yes.
you have written that you feel you're half a Dinka because you also sort of lost your song when you were taken away from your mother.
Yes. Yes.
Would you like to sing your song or your father's song or one of your songs as we conclude this episode?
Yeah. My mom used to sing this song. I don't remember. I said, "Aolo che dina la luek, dida piadare dida che chamala komit. Aolo che dina la luek, dida piadare dida che chamala komit." It's basically what it means is Aolo is a swallow, that little bird. That's my name. It's a bird that goes to the hole. It goes to the hole. It doesn't go and sit. It goes to the hole where everybody sit, where there's a respectable there. That bird is so beautiful. It doesn't eat the grain of the children. It doesn't eat children food. That's what I mean. It's respectable. It will not harm other children. It only feed that way. So it's not harmful. It will never take anything that belongs to another child. So the moral story is, it's a beautiful bird, a swallow. If you've seen a little swallow, it's beautiful. It's fast, as it is. So I'm a little swallow. That's my song. I was sung by my mom. I can do the same thing with my father. My father, it's different song. A different song. It goes like this. Tingalona mora chwa pinyaka koi. What kwa nyangdi. Nagda na chim nyangria. It's basically my mother, my older mother, which is my father's first wife. She was crying. She fell down with tears crying. And this is because there was a tribe called Murale, that come and kidnap the children, normally adopting the children. And the reason for adopting the children, which is, I don't know whether we form properly in part of this story, is because back in the 60s, Ali Selassie, Ali Selassie, when he was succeeded by, after he was murdered by Mengistu Ali Mariam, who became a president of Ethiopia. Basically what he introduced the syphilis to Murle. And Murle then, as a tribe, the women could not produce children because syphilis, that's what it does. So they start kidnapping children from another tribe to make sure they supplement their own genealogy and make it like that. My mother was shot in the arm by Murle after attempting to kidnap my brother. And that Murle could not manage to take that. And my mother, what she did is she fell down and she cried with all her soul. And after she was held by villagers, including my father, they went after an attempt kidnapping, they went and basically chased the Murle tribe away and got my brother back. That is a song. So yes, my mother was a hero, not my father. She was a heroic. Even though she was shot in her arm, she still didn't give a damn. She cried, and a cry is not like a cry. It's chew is like, you're like call for a war, like it's called, we call it. So she called, there's a war, and that what happened. So that is a song that was sung by my mother, for my father, and that woman was my oldest mother.
Thank you so much for sharing this. And that brings us to the end of this episode. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to you for sharing such insightful stories and sharing your life story with us, your journey and your strength and your resilience has been so inspiring. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.